Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from anthonymorganti.com, and this is episode 112 of Photo Critiques. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard that I'm not accepting any new images for critique. I will be doing critiques for a while, though. I have a backlog of people waiting for me to do their critique, so I'll be doing them through February, probably into March. I'll be doing critiques. If you haven't heard why I chose to stop doing critiques, in the description of this video there'll be a link. Click on it and it will take you to my website where I wrote a short blog post explaining why I'm not going to do critiques anymore and what I'm going to be doing instead of critiques. Maybe it's something you're interested in, so check it out. In this critique, episode 112, I'm pleased to critique the work of Timothy Mills. Timothy sent me in I don't know, 20 something, 30 pictures maybe. So I cut it down, Timothy, so we could make it manageable. I didn't necessarily take your best shots. I took a variety of your shots and I chose ones where I thought maybe I could help people. Point out some things that you could do and other photographers could do to perhaps improve the shot. This first one, I really do like this shot. This is very nice. I love the bokeh in the back. See how nice and blurred it is? A young man, very nice, very nice focus. Very well done. The only small thing, it's a little dark in his face. And this is where a fill flash would have done well. Even the pop-up flash on your camera would have worked great. Just pop it up, use, I don't know, maybe 1/8 power, 1/16 power, just to get a little more light in his face and get some catch lights in his eyes. That really will make the picture come alive if you did that. So keep that in mind next time. You still meter the same way. You take the the background the same way. You might want to bracket it a little bit to make sure you're balancing the background brightness with the brightness you're throwing on his face with the flash. But that's all this picture needs, is just a little fill flash to add a little brightness to his face and add the catch lights. In this one, I wanted to say it's 1/160th of a second at f/2.0. It was ISO 100, and it was the 50mm lens, which is on a cropped format camera. It's a perfect portrait lens. Now here's another portrait. This is like a single light shot. Now typically, when we use a single light, we don't like to use it on women. It's just not as flattering to a woman. Sometimes with men it might not be flattering either, but sometimes with men we would like to bring out their, the ruggedness of a man's face. You could picture those, or imagine in your mind those pictures of, you've seen of cowboys with their, leathered faces from, herding the horses all the time, and they have this strong side light on them to bring out all these rugged features. Now a single light on a female, that's why we don't want to do it. We don't want to bring out and exemplify any possible blemishes or anything. We want to show the woman in the best light possible. So we don't always want to use those single lights. Now if you only have a single light, there's a couple things you could do to help alleviate it. Is you don't have it to the side as much. You bring it more towards the front, maybe a little above your camera, and you could use even a sheet of poster board, a white poster board, if you don't have a reflector, and you would ask your model to hold the poster board like at her belly and hold it out so it's down here. Their camera's not going to see it, and it would help reflect that light back up into her face. Now the other thing is the background. You really want to separate your model from the background too. Now typically you would do that with a hair light. You'd have a light back here with what they call a snoot on it, and you would flash the light onto her hair, and it would help separate her from the background. Now in this case she had the single light, so even though she's blonde, back here her hair is very dark. So what you would really need is a very light background. And even with the light background, the light fall off would be so great. If you had a very white sheet of paper back here as your background, it would still come out dark gray, but it would help separate her somewhat from the background. So keep that in mind. And if you had a dark-haired model, someone with black hair or dark brown hair, it's even more difficult. So single light photography is really an effective tool. You could be really creative with it, but you could cheat a little. You could use a reflector. You could get a second flash behind her maybe and just splash some light on the background. That would help too. So there's a lot of things you could go around it, but the main thing in this photograph is you normally don't want to photograph a woman with a single light. Although your composition is perfect, focus is great, her eyes are perfectly focused, nice catch lights in her eye. You know, it looks like a single light. This one has two catch lights, so it might have reflected off the ceiling or something. This one has one catch light. So, but it's you know, technically you did a very, very nice job. It's just a suggestion with a woman. You typically don't want to do that though. I like what you were going for here. It's a very nice, tranquil scene. The only thing is you cut them off at the ankles. And we typically, when we're taking a portrait of a person, we don't want to cut them off right here. It usually doesn't work. So we want to, now we want to get their hands. They're holding hands. Normally, like on a portrait like this, if they weren't holding hands, let's say there were just two people standing here, you could go just above the waist. And you could get that shot, would be, you know, a fine shot. Other than just above the waist, you want to get all their body in the shot if you're not going to do that. In this case, obviously, as I mentioned, they're holding hands, so we want to get them entirely in the shot. So you have to back up just a little bit or zoom out a little bit. You were at 44 millimeters on your 18 to 55, so I would have zoomed it back just a little bit and got, you know, and even had a little more space, so there was a little more room below their feet. And got them entirely in the shot. The other thing you might want to consider doing is just, you know, kind of work the scene with the people in it. This is a nice pose, but this is a nice scene to work, and maybe they could do some different poses where they're, you know, standing facing each other, holding hands, different things, you know, arm in arm, you know, holding each other, things like that. So you could work the scene with the people in the scene. What I do like about it here too is you shot it up higher, shooting a little down, and it allowed their bodies to be completely in the water area, so they're not up here in the sky. So it's very, you know, balanced when you do it that way. If you would have shot lower, got at a lower angle, and this man's head was jutting up into this sky area, it wouldn't have looked as effective. So if you back up to get their feet, you might have to get a little higher too, to you know, get them so they're still in the water area. So keep that in mind, everyone, when you're taking portraits, silhouettes of people, even portraits of people. You tend to not want them cut off by the horizon. So you want them all the way below the horizon. Or, you know, if depending on your angle and in what you're doing, what size lens you're using, you know, you might want them all above the horizon, or as much above the horizon as possible. You'll never get them all above the horizon unless they're flying through the air. But, you know, you'd have the horizon down, way low. So you did a great job with that aspect of the photograph. This here, I like the idea you were going for, and I like the composition, you know, like the posing. Not much I could add. The only thing maybe is you again work the scene with the people in it. You're kind of high again, shooting down. I'd like to see what this shot might have looked like if you were kneeling down and got low and shot like at his knee level and shot straight down this kind of leading line of these trees. It would have, I think, exaggerated the tree line a little bit, and it might have gave a different look to the shot. I'm not sure. I didn't do it, but it's something, you know, work the scene, get a lot of different types of shots in this type of scene, and you know, be imaginative. And you showed you really were imaginative right here with the you know, man leaning against the tree, her looking back. But you could have did different things too. Try it out. But I like the idea, and I like what you were doing. This, I think, is that same area. Often when I see landscapes, like technically this is perfect. I like the processing. I liked what you did. There is a branch kind of leafing out over in here. leafing out, a branch leafing out. That didn't make sense. This branch sticking out over here. I think maybe if you could have, I think if you got lower again and maybe a little closer, you would have eliminated this branch. But that's a small point. I started to say, many times when I see landscape photography from, people just starting out, or, even advanced amateurs, there's not a strong subject in the shot. And sometimes we have this beautiful sunset and a beach, but there really isn't a subject. The sunset really isn't the subject. The sunset is the backdrop. Now in this case, these line of trees, it's not technically the subject, it's kind of the backdrop. We need a subject in the shot to really push it over the top. And you've proven that you technically could do the shot, fine. This is a fantastic exposure. I like the processing, very well done. But it just needs a subject. Now what that could be, that's up to you. You had one with people in it. You could have people in it, you could have something else in it, you could have, maybe there's something else in this area you could have had in the foreground. Anything, people walking down this tree line path, walking away from the camera, something like that. You'd have to really work the scene, as I come to say all the time. And this one too, I purposely put this one in there because I think it's a beautiful shot. Fantastic, the clouds are fantastic. I like the processing, very well done. We got kind of this right here, which helps break up the monotony of this green, but it still needs that really strong subject. It needs something else. And like I said, it sometimes you don't always get it. Sometimes it's not there. But if there's something you could have found in this area, so you still could have captured the sky, the water, the trees, but still had something more compelling in the shot to push it over the top, I think it would have been a really a superb image. It's still a good image though, don't get me wrong. I always feel bad when I talk about this because I really am splitting hairs. This is a really, really nice shot. I just like to see you push it just a little bit and get something else in this shot, and it would really add interest to the shot. You had this one shot I left out of this building straight on, and then you had this one with reflection, and I think this is a superior shot. Much more creative, very well done. It looks like you did crop it as it is because it's almost square, and we have the end of the building here, and we have this building jutting out here. So I'd like to see, actually, if since you cropped it anyway, if you cropped it even a little more. Let me unlock this. And just a little more like that. Get that building out of there. I think this is a strong image. Very well done. You still have more reflection over here though that's cut out, so I'm wondering if you work the scene. I don't know what's over here though, like in front of this building. Maybe there's something in the way, but I would have liked to seen a horizontal shot of this, with including this part of the, I assume that's a church, this part of the church in the shot too. So but I like the idea. I like the creativity involved. The exposure's perfect. It's 1 second at f of 4.2, ISO 125. Very well done. This here I included this. Guys don't know how to do this. You use a zoom lens and you zoom in or out. You get these different effects, or these kind of zoom effects, and a lot of times we're presented with a scene and it's a little mundane. It's a nice scene, the clouds, maybe the sky isn't interesting, there's a lot of people around, there's tree getting in the way. Well, do something creative like this, and I think this is a really nice shot, Tim. Half a second, f of 4.5, ISO 640, 40 millimeters. Do stuff like this. Have fun. Photography is about having fun. Even though this, critics might call this cliche because they frown on being creative sometimes. I don't know, and that's why I don't want to be a critic. Even though these are critiques, I like people to have fun with their photography, and I think you did with this shot. Um, Next few we got is some of your macros, and I think you're a great macro shooter, Tim. This one here is just a beautiful shot. I just love the coloring. I love the way you framed it. We have this kind of stuff in the middle, which this attracts our attention, and it's kind of blurry along the outside, which brings our attention towards the middle, and these you know, hay fever pills here, or I don't know what you want to call them, but you know what I'm talking about. These seeds of, I don't know if they're dandelion, whatever, or if they're from poplar trees or whatever they are. It's just a really nice shot. This here too, this kind of a textbook macro of shooting leaves with frost on it. You did a great job. The focus is beautiful. I love the composition. Very well done. It's a really nice shot. This too, very unusual. We got some bubbles. We have this other kind of bubble down below it, kind of blurred out. It's not bullseye. This is off. If you probably use the rule of thirds, you could see how in this intersection of the rule of thirds is right around where these bubbles are. So it's a really nice job, and it's just a very, very nice composition, Tim. Excuse me. This one here, I chose this one because sometimes photographers could take the mundane that most people don't see, and you can make something beautiful out of it. And all this is just some grass and a leaf, and it's just the way you composed it, the way it's exposed. It's just beauty. It's nature's beauty. It's very simple. It's not over the top. It's just what it is, and it's just a beautiful shot. And that's what I think we as photographers, how we kind of could live a special life, because we notice these things. We're training ourselves to notice these things that are beautiful that most people would walk right by and step on this. But we look for these things, and we drive. I know I do. I drive in my car and I'm looking around all the time. I'm surprised I don't get in accidents, because I'm looking at how a tree is against the horizon, or how it is against the water and the shore of Lake Erie where I live. And I walk down these nature trails, and I look for little things like this, and I think it adds so much more to life when we do this. And I think that's why I believe photographers can appreciate life, I think, a lot, because of this idea that I'm just going off on. So that's it for now. Tim, thank you very much for sharing your images with us. I'd like to thank everyone who watches all my videos. Thank you very much. And if you guys haven't already, go over to my website, anthonymorganti.com. I got all kinds of photography stuff over there. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate that. I'd like to thank you for indulging me and just spewing about the romanticized part of being a photographer. And that's it for now. I'll talk to you guys soon.